What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel for some more continued testing of the new Square Golf launch monitor firmware and software update. Before we get into it, I just saw my breath a little bit. I don't know why, but continuing on from the test I did before, I took all of your advice. I was open to any suggestions, recommendations, anything down below. The first video was pretty long. I started off with just using the driving range, opening it up at set to driver, same thing with GSPro. I still stand by the fact that to me, that's the most accurate that it should be. It worked perfectly before with that. The same thing with my Garmin R10 and any other units I've used besides the OptiShot. And I was thinking about it, and I've actually had a decent amount of people back when people have tried out the backyard simulator with the R10, and also in here. There's been a number of people where the first question they ask is, do you have to tell it what club you're hitting? And I've always said no, because that the launch monitor is actually picking up exactly what the ball and the club's doing. So to me, I get it makes sense if you're using something like a swing stick where you're not hitting a ball, you need to tell it what club you're hitting. To me, I still stand by the fact that to me, it'll be the most accurate, and I would have the most faith in it if I just have it set to driver every single time, and it's actually estimating if I'm not using the actual square ball, or it's picking up exactly what the ball is doing for what it can measure without having to give it that extra input. Maybe I'm in the minority on that, maybe not. Other people seem like it was kind of split. A lot of people suggested with this new update you do have to select the club, which I don't disagree with. I kind of came to that consensus at the end of it. But to me, it would still be preferred if both here on GSPro, like the average user like me, I come here, and if I'm just warming up before playing some rounds or just practicing, I don't want to have to remember to select a club every single time. And if I'm playing around, like on GSPro, it's fine because I have the bag mapping done, so it automatically kind of selects the club. But you run into issues where if you're in like a bunker or you're in the deep rough, and say you're 150 yards to the green and it's suggesting 9-iron, but in reality, if you have a 20% reduction, maybe instead of a 9, you're hitting an 8 or a 7. So that's going to throw off if it's not picking up the club path and everything to get the most accurate spin numbers. That's going to throw off. I would assume it's probably working on a tier system. So if you're using the square ball, it's going to use that, and it's going to override any of the estimated numbers from the stickers. If you're not using the square ball, it's going to go with the sticker, and it's going to base it on your club data, the dynamic loft, the attack angle, all that stuff. And if you don't have that, then I would assume the third layer, which is why people are saying you should select the club. If it's not able to pick up on any of those, then it'll default to what it thinks the average spin should be for that club that's selected. But again, to me, not exactly ideal. It kind of is what it is, where I've already updated it, so I'm kind of somewhat stuck with it. I haven't looked into super in depth of how I can possibly roll back the firmware. I did like how it was before. Everything was, I had no complaints. All the estimated spins were good, and there's still an issue. Maybe if we figure something out here, we'll go over to GSPro and check that out after. But one main issue I've seen in GSPro is, for whatever reason, it doesn't transfer over the side spin. No matter what you hit, it just shows the side spin is 0. But as far as the continued testing, what I'm going to do first is just hit, I know I have it set to driver. I'm going to hit a couple there just to show you guys kind of a recap what I was getting for backspin numbers. We're going to go over and hit 5 or 10 shots with approach wedge selected, and then from there, to continue testing, maybe I can kind of solve some issues on my own without having a firmware update, which I hope they go back to that. But first, what I'm going to do is turn off the pin spotlight. People were suggesting maybe that was an issue with the club data not getting it. After that, what I'm going to do is put an extra layer of the Amazon reflective tape on top here, because I have a feeling with my choke down approach wedge, which I'm going to be hitting for this entire time, I'm going to be trying to hit my 100-yard shot. I have a feeling, again, like I was explaining, depending on how you have the club set up at address, whether it's more upright, more flat, etc., maybe it's outside of that 7.8 or whatever it is, just shy of 8 inches of viewing window. So I'll add an extra layer of tape, and if all that fails and we're not able to get back to consistent readings, what I'm happy with, I have a piece of board here, which is just over 3/4 of an inch. People suggested raising the unit up anywhere from a 1/2 inch up to 2 inches, some people have said, but mostly I've seen a 1/2 inch to an inch. I'll try putting this underneath there. That'll be a little more intensive, so I'm leaving that till the end. But I'll put the milk crate, my protective shank tank, I'll put this underneath it to raise it up, and we'll see if we get anything there. But just real quick, using some brand new Callaway balls. Choke down approach wedge shot. I just hit a couple shots before just to get the swing going back and make sure the unit was aligned the best that I could. But as a kind of a recap of what I was doing before, this will probably be another longer one, but I'm kind of trying to test things on the fly and kind of go through some troubleshooting stuff. Ideally, you wouldn't have to do that. To me, it worked really good before this update, but it is what it is. Before, if you have driver selected, like I would usually do, just going onto the range, I don't even mess with those. This is usually what you would be seeing and what kind of I experienced last time. So 2000 spin, choke down approach wedge. Again, I'm just hitting my 100-yard shot. Again, it missed the attack angle, dynamic loft, and the backspin is down towards like what an estimated driver would be, which I guess makes sense because we do have driver selected. People were saying if you select anything else besides driver, you'll start getting those numbers. So just as a recap, that was the frustrating part. And when I go over to the range on GSPro, it's the same thing, but I've kind of belabored that. It is what it is at this point. So now as kind of a base for this test, not that one. What I'm going to do is select approach wedge here. So again, this is my 51-degree P770 approach wedge. I choked down. It's about a 3/4 shot. I usually get around 100 yards. Again, that one rolled out 5.8 yards. We had 2,000 spin. The other time we were testing it, they were all right around 1,900. But usually I try to play this to about 100 yards total. So we'll hit 5 or so shots, maybe 5 or 10. We'll see what we're getting for attack angle, and then again, we'll go through the troubleshooting of turning off this pin spotlight, which I do like. I think it adds to not only the usability of it. If I have this box light turned off, if I'm just out here, I wouldn't have that. So obviously, no one has to see me for a video. But I would turn that off. Maybe we'll try turning that off as well. But I do like it. I think it looks better. I think the usability is better. But if that's what's causing some of these reads that aren't perfect, then I guess that thing will have to be turned off or have to tweak it. But let's hit some choke down approach wedges and see if we can get mainly the club data to populate. That's what people were saying. And 2, now that we have approach wedge selected, all the backspins should be further up. Again, depends on contact, and you want some variability based on how you hit it. If you hit it a little bit chunky, a little bit thin, those kind of things, you want some variability. But we're going to try to keep an eye on the numbers and the attack angle there as well. So approach wedge. That was a bit toey. And see, so this is what I was kind of telling people in the comments. I have approach wedge selected, and it missed everything, so it's still read it as 2,000. It didn't get any of the path. It got none of the club data. So it just kind of defaults. I don't know why. It defaults back down to really, really low spin. Didn't get any side spin, which makes sense because we're using a regular ball and it didn't get any of the club data. But this is what I was seeing, and it was very temperamental. It wasn't like as soon as I selected a club, I got to that towards the end of that first video, but it wasn't as if I selected the club and then all my problems were solved. So 1 for 1 of not the best read in the world. Second one here. So that one, still no club data it picked up on, but we're up to 9,500 on the backspin. That's fine. That probably, again, I'm not super dialed in here and warmed up and swinging 100%, but why did the time stop? Time stopped at 8 minutes. Hopefully everything's still going. I am just going to check. I know my video's covered, and maybe you can see it on the projector. The time just got frozen at 8 minutes. I want to make sure everything's still recording here so I don't have to redo this. I think it's all right, but let's double check here. All right, it shows we're still recording, so I don't know what the deal is with that. Hopefully the Square software doesn't lag out, but I think I mentioned at the beginning, the first time I did it, it was really, really cold. It was like 17 degrees out, and I know the user manual says like operating temperature, the recommended range was like 32 at the low end. So at least for today, it's warmer. It's like 50 degrees out. That should eliminate that. And then people suggested too, I restarted my laptop before. I had an issue with my Bluetooth going out, so that shouldn't be an issue either. So trying to eliminate easy things off the list that I can, but so far 2 for 2. The backspin was better on that one, but 2 for 2 of not picking up the club path. That was chunky. All right, and that one, back to similar what I was seeing with driver. It got the club path and it got the face to target, but no attack angle and no dynamic loft. Again, we do have approach wedge selected. And for something like that where I hit it chunky, I don't know, 1,700 still seems kind of low for an approach wedge, but could be. All right, that one, we got the numbers to populate. Back up to 9,000. 92.5 total, 0.4 run. That was my issue I was mentioning in the last one, having like 10 yards of rollout versus like nothing with an approach wedge. That's the difference between holding a green if you're having an approach shot or off the back kind of thing. But that one we did get it to work. So again, that was the first one where it actually worked like it should and pick up everything. Still kind of temperamental in my opinion, but we'll hit a few more. And back down to just 2 metrics, and we're back down to 1900 on the backspin. So again, I'm not hitting these perfect. I'm not a robot. There's other people out there like Joe Legowski. He was a former professional player. He's much more consistent, much more accurate. I usually leave the in-depth testing. I check out his videos probably as much as you guys do. He's a really good source for that kind of stuff. But to me, based on those 2 strikes, there's not a difference of 7,000 backspin on those 2 strikes just because it didn't pick up. Mainly, it seems like the attack angle is the big thing. But again, I mean, you can't have, I have the approach wedge selected. I'm doing everything I should be doing as far as like user error, and having that big of a variance, and we're up to 7.9, 8 yards of rollout versus like 0.4. I mean, I don't know. Again, and I'll probably say it a couple times, but let me know down in the comments you have any more recommendations, suggestions, things that I'm possibly doing wrong or not thinking of. I'm here for it. I'm open, as you guys are. All right, so we got that one back up to 9,000. And again, it is what it is using the regular balls. I'm not expecting, and I mentioned that in some of the comments and some of the responses, I'm not expecting the square to be able to pick up these regular balls without dots and have it to be as accurate as using the dotted balls. There's 100% no argument. If you want the most accurate readings possible, you want to use the square dotted ball. You want to use the club stickers, and you want to select the club. No argument there. But for people like me that like using the regular balls, that's kind of what the whole test is about here. But so that one seems a little bit better. Numbers drop back down again, 86. I haven't really been checking the ball speed as much, 75. I think I still have 5% selected, which may be a tad short, but and back down to no data. I swung that one a little bit more, get back up towards the 100, 78.9 ball speed on that, and we're back to no data on the club pass, so I missed everything, but we have 9,400. So again, seemingly no rhyme or reason. It seems like you get the best data when it picks up the club path and the club data as far as backspin numbers go, which is the main thing I'm looking at. And again, because it didn't pick up anything, no side spin. But to me, it's not like I'm doing anything crazy. It's not like there's a ball right here that's possibly throwing it off. It's not like I'm doing anything different. I'm hitting the same clubs, kind of same shot over and over again. And for why some things read and some things don't, I'm not really sure. That one spun back. And 79, maybe I'm warming up a little bit, but back down to 2,000. So that one I hit harder. You would think it would spin more. That wasn't terrible contact, and we're up to 111. That one should have been closer to like 100, 106 carry. But again, it's going to carry more with the lower spin, lower backspin, and it's going to roll out more. So it picked up 2 of the 4, and we're back down to 2,000. So we'll hit one more. Again, this was just kind of a base. So far, to me, I'd like to say 50-50, but it's not even. We've only had, I think, two or three maybe that have picked up everything the way it should be. I pulled that. So I got that one. 3 degrees into out, descending below, back up to 9,000. And we're right around that 100-yard mark, 9,000 backspin, which is in the realm of kind of what I would expect. One more, and then we'll start messing around with the different things that I mentioned between the lights and the club stickers. All right, 2 in a row, 9,800, right around that 100-yard mark, 93, 0.3 rollout. So, I don't know. Being generous, 50-50, to me it seemed like 75% of those didn't pick it up exactly the way it should. But the easiest thing to start here with the test, again, we're going to be hitting the same club every single time. I'm going to turn off the spotlight. So that's off. And we're going to see maybe if that was thrown off, if we go up to like 8, 9 out of 10 shots that it's picking up the club data, maybe that's what was throwing it off. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I like it. It's brighter. It's easier to see the ball. Easier to see your club face in a situation like this. But we'll see. Well, so 8,400 backspin, that's fine, but no club data. So far, if anything, that's been worse, but that's only one shot. No club data at all on that one, which is strange, though. So it picked up 2,000 side spin to the right on that, and seemingly no club data populated. So how did it do that? How did it pick up side spin if it didn't pick up anything else? Because I'm using, again, brand new, tailor-made, just regular plain white balls. How did it pick up the side spin if it didn't populate any of the club data? Usually that's what it needs to be able to get spin access. That's kind of strange. Another one, no club data. 9,000 on the backspin, 9,400. 0.1 rollout. All right, that one we got it to register. 1,000 a side spin to the left, 9,300 backspin, 97.8. That's pretty much what I would expect. That was a little bit toey, so it drew. 1.4 into out, 5-degree descending blow, 38.2 dynamic loft, and face to target. I've seen some people, they were doing testing. It is face to target. It's not the face angle, which makes a difference. But so that was the first one without the pin spotlight that it actually registered everything. Another one, we got everything. 9,300 on the backspin. So far, though, to me, the pin spotlight doesn't seem to be the issue. But that's 2 in a row. And back down to nothing, although we did still have 9,469 on the backspin. And I agree. I mentioned the spotlight before. If it was maybe giving a glare to the square, maybe it was messing up with the reflective. You would think the extra light would help it pick up with the infrared. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a launch monitor designer. No side spin on that one though, with no club data. All right, we got everyone on that one. 9,500. So. Again, we'll hit one more. Pretty inconclusive in my eyes. It doesn't seem like it automatically went up to picking up everything the way it used to. To me, there was probably 75, 80, 90%. It's tough to tell, but it was the vast majority of all my shots were picking up the club data on the old firmware. So again, I think it's down to that. But all right, picked up everything there too. That was a bit thin, but 9,300. To me, that one was a little bit low on the face and thin. That should have spun less, but again, it's estimating. For the sake of it, we will turn off this light over here as well. Now, this is really dark. I can barely even see to be able to hit, but it could be that light too that was messing with it, so I want to try to be able to test things here the best that I can. All right, everything populated there, 9,200. I know you guys can't see me, but all right, those populated as well. Maybe it's the box light, which, again, wasn't an issue before on the old firmware and the old software. But so far, that's 2 for 2. And we're back down to none. 9,500 on the backspin, though. And again, it's worth noting, other people, other users that have YouTube channels and whatnot that have tested things on camera, a lot of them have spotlights. Like I know Joe Legowski has a spotlight. Spike's Blue Collar Sim Golf has a spotlight. Other people use other lighting to be able to see you guys, so you guys can see me. So to me, it seems like it shouldn't be that, considering other people get pretty good results out of theirs. That was chunky, 9,400 again, no club data, so still not exactly conclusive results. I'm hoping one of these things here just goes up to like 70, 80, 90% of all the shots that I hit start to register, but so pick that one up. I hit that a little bit thin. That was towards the heel. So right side spin makes sense. The backspin makes sense. To me, that was a good read, and it actually picked everything up. We'll hit one more, then we'll turn the pin spotlight back on without without the box light. But seemingly, that was a little bit of a better strike. Seemingly not a ton of rhyme or reason and conclusive results here. But we'll turn this back on. Bear with me, I know I'm really dark and you can't really see me hitting these shots, but still the same club, taking the same swing. Thin again, 5,000, that makes sense based on how thin I hit that. That must be using the launch angle to pick it up on. And to me, 8 yards or 6 yards of rollout on that makes sense because I hit that pretty thin. But we got all of the club data. All the club data again. Backspin numbers look good. 1,000 side spin. Seems like kind of a lot for an approach wedge, but that's somewhat besides the point. All right, this is the best results we've had so far as picking up the club data. And back down to 2,000 on the backspin. Didn't get the attack angle or dynamic loft. So to me, that's a misread. It missed some of the club data. Back up to 9,000. And obviously, as far as YouTube videos go, this isn't exactly ideal because you guys can't even see me. So kind of need that light over there. I need to figure out a different light. But it's been better with just the pin spotlight and without that, for what it's worth. That was pretty thin. And that makes sense, the 4,900. I kind of sculled that. So there is some variance in the numbers based on your strike, which is good to see. And I chunked that one. But back down to 1,800 and it missed the data. So to me, again, no read, missed some of the data. We'll turn this back on so you guys can see me. And again, I have it over here. This thing, there's the netting and the tarp that's protecting the square as far as the light goes from over there. And I have it angled to where it's coming this way. So the field of view, yeah, there's an little bit extra light hitting it this way, but the field of view as far as the square goes, that shouldn't make a ton of difference. It's not like it's over here behind me shining directly into the face of the square. $3,000 side spin. Jeez. 8,000 backspin. We still got stuck at 8 minutes for whatever reason. That's kind of a weird glitch. And no data again, but we kept the spin up. So I don't know. So far, I guess without that, it seems to be the best. Pin spotlight didn't seem to do much. That seems maybe like it's messing with it a little bit, but again, same exact light, same position. I've had it before this update, which wasn't messing with it. I've done a ton of live streams, a ton of videos with kind of the same setup here. That one picked it up. All right, well, let's try. I'm most hopeful about this. Let's try adding some extra tape here. Because again, like I've been saying with the choke down shot, depending on how you have the club, if you're kind of opening it up here and you're trying to flight it higher, the sticker is going to be lower to the ground than that 8 inches versus if you have it more upright here, that's going to be a lot higher. They want you to have it to where the grooves are flush with the ground when you do it. But let's try putting this on, and I'm going to do it above it. Probably do another video if this happens to work of adding them to the rest of my clubs, but just for the record, this one that's on my approach wedge is the official square sticker that comes with the unit. This is my 3/4 of an inch Amazon tape that I got. That seems to work just as good. Take about 1.5 inches, and we don't have to measure because I measured the official square sticker that's already on there. So all I'm going to do is just peel that off and put it right above it, so closer to the grip. And my thinking here with this is a wider viewing angle for the square to pick up the reflective nature of the tape versus if the way I have the club at address, possibly too high or too low. To me, it seems like it would be the issue of having the sticker be below that 8 inches, which is why I'm adding it above. But if this seems to help a little bit, maybe I'll add some extra tape below where that one is, closer to like the Hosel. And of course, lower light here, a little bit tricky getting this corner of the tape started. All right, there we go. So all I'm going to do is just kind of line this up right up against the other one. If I can, it's not sticking very good. I'm not happy with that. It's too loose. I did try to wipe off, just because the change in temperature has been pretty drastic. I don't know if they're still a little bit damp or wet from like the moisture. I did notice that there was a little bit of a kind of a hazy film on both the pin spotlight and the projector just from going from 20 degrees up to like 50 degrees these past couple days. So I feel like that could be messing with the tape. The Amazon reviews said that if anything, the adhesive on this tape was so good it was difficult to get off. And it went on and stuck really good on my driver when it was warmer out. Alright, that one's a little bit better of a... I just used my towel on my bag to wipe off maybe just a minimal bit of condensation on the club. I wiped it off. So now, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. Now I have basically 2 layers of tape. I have the square tape, which is right here on my thumb, and now I have the 3/4 of an inch Amazon tape. Again, more towards the grip. So now we probably have inch and a half, whatever you want to call it, 1.25 inches worth of reflective tape. Let's see if a wider viewing angle now for the square gives it a better opportunity for it to pick up the club data at a much higher rate. Again, I know, apologies, this is going to be a longer one. I try to do this stuff just on the fly, so to speak. It's obviously it's not live, but I try to do it all in like one take without editing it out stuff, just so you can see like if I struggle with a certain thing, or like showing like the tape, maybe it didn't stick great, or anything else in between. You guys see it all, so it's not like I'm trying to cut things up to make it seem like I'm going quicker than I am, or it's easier than it should be. All right, that one it did not like. No club data at all on that. No side spin at all on that. No club data again. No club data again. All right, 3 in a row, no club data, leading me to believe my hypothesis of having a wider viewer angle for the reflective tape is not great. All right, what is that, 4 in a row now? No club data. For the sake of it, it seemed like we were getting some more accurate readings without this box light. We'll turn this off. So far, no good on the extra tape. Seems like it likes that one single piece of tape. And again, I have the, this is the 3/4 inch tape. I did order, just because it's so cheap, I ordered the 1/2 inch as well. Maybe that will be different results. That's still in the package. I haven't even opened it yet. But I put on the 1/4 inch, that tape that you just saw. I put it on my 60 degree and it worked, and I put it on my driver and it did work, just that single piece. But it seems like having the two tapes together, we haven't got a single one so far. It's actually warm in here. We're starting to work up a little bit of a sweat, which is nice. All right, so I'm gonna call it. That's a massive fail. I guess for the sake of it, we'll turn this on and turn the spotlight off, just to make sure we have all of our bases covered. Definitely worse with the second edition of tape. I'm actually kind of surprised by that. I didn't think that would throw off the square that much. Still not a single shot of club data. All right, I'm going to turn that back on. I'm going to take this tape off. So, at least you know, don't do that. And now figures, people did say when you take the tape off. I would assume probably could be similar with the square tape because of the reflective nature. It kind of peels apart in pieces. I was struggling to get it to stick in the first place. Now it doesn't really want to come off. All right, that's off. Back down to it did kind of come apart in pieces. That wasn't the smoothest installation and removal process. So back down to just the original one single piece of reflective tape, the original square. And back to club data. I saw in a forum, someone mentioned power cycling the unit if you add tape or remove it. That shouldn't be the case considering you can have half of your clubs with the tape on and the other half you don't. So that shouldn't matter, at least in my opinion. And back down to no data. Backspin's still fine though because we have approach wedge selected. Ooh, that was chunky. 8,800. So it picked up an attack angle. It just said it was 0. At least now we're back up to getting some club data again. And back down to half of them. 1,900. So again, you've been seeing all the other shots. That's a misread back up to 7.8 yards of rollout. And 9,400. I don't know. Don't know. If anything, the best results we got was turning off that box light so you guys can see me. I've had it before where it's further back, but I feel like here it's still a little bit dark. Some people have said it was dark. 1,900, no club data. All right. I guess last situation, I was kind of hesitant. I didn't know what to expect out of the lights. I kind of like the way it is anyways. I thought the extra club sticker would help it. That seemed to not like it at all. That was throwing it off. Final thing we can try here. Might as well just keep it rolling. Final thing is raising up the entire unit about 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is take off my heavy stone paver here on top. I'm going to try to have the square in a similar spot. I'm going to turn the square off, put that over here, and we're going to put this right underneath. And I know it's white. I had that thought, but this is the biggest kind of solid piece of wood I could get that I had. The white shouldn't throw it off if it's underneath it, but we'll go there. So now this is raised up. Some people have suggested that. I think that was mainly in terms of getting driver to read better, but worth a shot. That's easy enough to just leave that underneath. So we'll put the square back. I try to cozy it up as close to the plexiglass as I can. Turn that back on. Might as well, we'll see if it picks up the ball, but I might have to go back out to the main menu. Cycling up. I have a feeling because I turned it off, I'll probably have to restart this real quick. So we'll go here, we'll quit, showing no device. I click it, there it is again. All right, now we're back. So let's see. Maybe this will be the solve all the issues I've been having. So that's high up in the, that's past it. So I must have slid it just a little bit. What we'll do is we'll slide the board just a little bit back. I try to line it up to where usually I hit all my shots from here. I try to get that as close to the middle of the square. Close enough. Oh, we have driver. Well, I guess might as well. We'll see if it has the attack angle. You would think it would help it, but we'll leave it on driver for a couple. $1,900. Got 2 out of the 4. Zero out of 4. Yeah, so definitely with this new update, you guys were right, and those are my suspicions. You definitely have to have the club selected, which, again, I belabored that. Not ideal, but it is what it is, I guess. All right, back down to approach wedge selected with the unit raised up. All right, 1 for 1. That's a good start. 5,000 backspin. 1.1 descending. So I'm wondering with raising it up if that's going to mess with the attack angle a little bit because it's higher versus lower. I didn't restart the entire program. Maybe I should have done that, but I did turn the square back off and kind of go out of the drive range and back in. You would think, however, I know the user manual says you want it flush. People have recommended having it higher. 1.1, before we were getting like 5. 4.5, so that seems all right. 9,300, 2 for 2 so far. This would be the easiest if that's just the case where just need to raise it up just a little bit. And we're back to getting, besides having to select the club every single time, that's going to mess with the GSPro rounds, but that's 3 for 3. Four for 4. All right. I'm liking this. Don't have to mess with any of my lights. Easy enough to leave that board there and just put the unit on top of it. I don't know if you guys can see the edge of it. It doesn't look super pretty. Maybe I can paint it or find a piece of blackboard or something. The whiteboard, I don't know if the camera's picking it up again. Probably as far as like aesthetics go, I try to make this look as pretty as possible. You guys can, I guess, see the very edge of it. Doesn't look like the nicest thing in the world, looks pretty janky. I know my stone paver looks kind of janky on top anyways, but 5 for 5, look at that. That was a little bit toey. 7,000, I'm cool with that. 5 for 5 with the club data, having the unit raised up a little bit. Well, no club data. That's the best run we've had, though. That's 5 out of 6 shots it picked up on. That's not bad. It wasn't every single time before in the old firmware, but 6 for 7. I mean, to me, this seems better. This has been the best results we've had so far. That was a bit heely. Right side spin, that all looks good. 5.3 descending blow. You would think it would calibrate itself based on where the unit is in relation to the ball, but I wasn't sure on that. That seems pretty good to me. I was curious about this. Someone mentioned in a comment, if you have anything besides driver selected, you'll get similar numbers. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning, I know I've probably been going for a while, but I would assume it kind of works on like a order of priority. So the number 1 priority for the most accurate readings, it would be the square looking for the square ball. Number 2 would be going off of the club data. And number 3, if it doesn't have any of that, it would go to the club selected, which makes sense. But let's try 3 wood selected. Let's see if we still get some similar numbers. So anywhere from like, what have we been getting? 6 to 9,000, call it. Usually most of them are right around 9,000-ish. That was 7,400. That was a bit thin. 9,300. Picked up everything on 3 wood. That all seems fine. That was a little bit heely. So right side spin makes some sense there. A bit thin. Spin drop down. Everything's still good. $9,300. Picked everything up again. Maybe that was it, folks. Maybe we solved it. Took a little while to get there. I guess hindsight, should have tried that first. The tape, I was very surprised about the tape. That definitely did not work at all, adding the extra layer of tape. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Would you call that user error? Because I had everything set up. I had the milk crate with the square inside of it. I have it to where it says in the user manual, have it flush up against your the same height as your hitting surface, which I had it. So I was following the directions, but people, I know the R10 went through a period. Some people, I think, still do it. They recommended raising it up a little bit. Would you call that user error, or is that just a easy tweak to do? Because I feel like I was following the instructions, but it seems like this has been the most consistent we've had it. For the sake of it, let's try like a 5-iron and see if we can get these similar numbers. Which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Basically, if you're hitting driver, you have to have driver selected. If you're hitting anything else, it can be anything else besides that. Maybe if that means that it picks up driver more accurately, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But still, I stand by my not having to change anything opinion. But 7,400, no club data. And if my thinking is right based on that order of priority, that makes sense where if it didn't get any of that club data, maybe it's defaulting back down to a lower spin versus the 1900 with driver. Based on the launch angle, it got 7,000 on that. 8,700. And again, I understand you wouldn't purposely put it on 5-iron if you're hitting approach wedge. But my point was, if I'm hitting driver, leave it on driver. If I'm hitting everything else, then just select a club and it doesn't matter, which seems like could be the case here. All right, We may be back here. That's better. Seems like the wood underneath 3/4 of an inch. Technically, I had it measured at 13/16 of an inch, which was like 0.81 something. So it's just over 3/4 of an inch. Whether, if you guys have tested this, whether like a half an inch works better, an inch, for whatever this board was, seemed to work pretty good so far. It still missed a couple, but for the most part, I would say we're back up to like 90%. It's picking up these. And again, we're still up towards the 9,400 with an approach wedge with 5-iron selected. To me, that's fine. Let's go over to GSPro. This video's already been long enough, so might as well. Let's go over to GSPro and see if anything changed over there, and then we'll close this one out. We'll exit that. We're gonna log out. Just give me a second. It'll take like 30 seconds to launch up GSPro. The screen always moves, so I lose my icons over there. So, GSPro launcher. (1080p) Ultra. Curious if anyone else has put a second layer of tape on their clubs, if they got a similar result. It does still work. The 3/4 of an inch, the tape that I got, like I said, I have it on my 60 degree, and I have it on my driver, and it does pick up. All right, we should be connected. So, practice range, and again, for the 10th time, with the Garmin, when I first got the Square, when I'm warming up or I'm just hitting balls, all I do is I load up, same thing on the Square, I load up GSPro like this, and it defaults to driver, and I've left it, and before it was fine. I know it's, again, maybe I'm making a huge deal out of it, and maybe you guys say, well, stop being a crybaby about it, it's not that big of a deal, but to me, just the ease of use, being able to fire up the unit, get it connected real quick, and just leave it the way it is and have it pick up accurately is obviously ideal. If it's not that case, I guess it's not the biggest thing in the world, but so we have driver selected. Let's see what we get here. I would assume it'll be back down, yeah, 1900. No club path. I do greatly prefer the ding over the ready with GSPro as opposed to Square. The ding's a lot nicer. So same thing that we were experiencing last time, picking up everything right around 1900. That one picked up club path, picked up face to path. It says it didn't get attack angle. I don't know if that's one of those metrics that maybe has a bug in it, but again, if you guys see, same thing as before. It could be a connector issue. It's picking up spin axis, so it got enough data to get a shop shape on it, but for whatever reason, it never populates a number for side spin. We'll have to keep an eye on that attack angle, but let's change the club as directed by you guys. We'll go down to gap wedge. Now, as long as the club data picks up the way it should, we should be back up towards 8,000-9,000 on the backspin. We'll keep an eye on the attack angle, and we'll. I don't think anything will populate for the side spin. Bit of a delay there too. It seems like there's a little bit more of a delay with this GSPro connector than the old one. I was thinking maybe it was the cold temperatures last time, but before when I first got the Square and loaded up that earlier beta version of the connector, I would hit a shot, and as soon as I would look up, the ball would be in the air, which was awesome. But now I kind of hit it. It's maybe a half a second, but it is noticeable. It is a bit slower. So again, spin axis, that time it did get the attack angle, so that seems fine, or angle of attack, whatever you want to call it. It picked up everything, but again, has spin axis, but no side spin. So for whatever reason, that number is not getting transferred over. .2 down, right around that 100-yard mark. That all seems good to me. I like that. Besides the side spin, would be nice to have that number there. I mean, I guess you can kind of tell. Obviously, a negative 7.7 spin axis, it's going to have a decent amount of side spin to the left, so you can kind of figure it out. But that number should populate. That should be an easy enough bug to fix. No club data. We got it on that one. That one had a push. So it had launching to the right, and it had a negative spin axis. So that was a push draw. It had it pretty sizable. Again, it would be nice if it had the side spin so you would know. But I would assume with a negative spin axis, that was spinning to the left, and it just started so far right. That was toey. All right. At least that's better, though. I'll call that an improvement. And seems like the lights didn't make a huge difference. For whatever reason, the box light, we got a couple there to read, but by far the biggest improvement was just raising the unit up a little bit. So I figured I'd come back on here, redo this test. Luckily, we found something out, so I guess I'll start defaulting to keeping that board under there. I did mention it last time, right after this. I didn't have time last time because I spent so much time messing around with the old update, but I am going to be doing a test right now after this one of I'm going to pull out driver, and I'll actually be able to have driver selected. We'll see how that works here. But I'm going to be doing a test of black rubber tees versus white rubber tees and see if there's a difference there. Just on my limited testing, it does seem like the black picks up better. But if we can do a more definitive test of like 10 and 10, which is what I'm planning on doing, we'll see what kind of results we get. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, very curious to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know any comments, questions, concerns, recommendations, things I can maybe try that I didn't think of, or maybe some other user error stuff. I don't know about if you would classify putting a board underneath it and raising it up a 3/4 of an inch, almost an inch, if you would classify that as user error, but that's an easy enough thing for anyone to try. Yeah, it doesn't look the prettiest now because I have all my flooring was originally pretty flush with the gym tiles. Everything looked a lot cleaner before, but it is what it is. So like I always leave you guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.